mischievous brat!
My sister, Mary, eloped with her husband, Todd. She abandoned her son, Matt, with me, despite he only has 6 months to live. Since then, I hadn't seen Mary or Todd. Now, after 15 years, they're right in front of me. This unexpected reunion brought back all those old questions. Todd, standing beside her, bursts out laughing at her words. Shocked, I try to keep my composure. Mary continues talking about Matt as if nothing has changed, and Todd laughs along as if it's all a big joke. I need to end this conversation and get out of here. Just listening to them is making me sick. I was about to speak up when I heard a voice behind me.
Mom, it's time to go.
I turned around and saw Matt, looking at me apologetically. He looked sharp in his suit, and seeing him, Mary and Todd's expressions changed as they recognized him. My name is Gemma. I'm 40 years old and I work in an office. I have one son, Matt. He's a kind, considerate young man and I couldn't be prouder of him. But Matt is not my biological child. He's actually my nephew, Mary's son. We've been living together for the past 15 years because of something that happened back then. At the time, I was married to Todd, who had a promising future. Our marriage was good, even though we were both busy. We had no living parents, so it was just the two of us facing life's challenges together. But one day, I came home to an empty house. The house, usually lit, was dark. I felt a presence that wasn't Todd's, and cautiously turned on the light.
Welcome home, Aunt Gemma.
Standing there was little Matt. Why is Matt here? Where's Mary? And where's Todd?
She asked me to give this to you.
Matt handed me a note, and I was stunned at the words I read.
I want to go with Mary.
Mary was my sister's name. I rushed into the living room, and on the table was a divorce paper. I grabbed my phone and tried calling Todd, but he never answered, and when he finally did, it was a mechanical message. I tried calling Mary, but the result was the same. I had to accept that Todd had left me for Mary. I never saw it coming.
Aunt Gemma, where did Mommy go?
Matt's innocent question brought me back to reality. Mary had left her beloved child behind to run off with my husband. How could she do that, especially to a child she cared so much for? I gently hugged Matt, who looked lost and abandoned. Mary had been raising Matt alone since her own divorce a year after I married Todd. She never complained, living in a small apartment and doing her best. But when Matt was 5, she showed up at my house, looking exhausted.
I can't take care of him anymore.
Why? Mary explained slowly that Matt had always been small and underweight, and after tests, he was diagnosed with a chronic condition. She had been doing everything she could for him, but it wasn't enough.
They said he might not have more than 6 months.
Mary started crying, and I was shocked by her words. I wanted to help her, to support her. That night, I called her and told her I would help. I'll help.
What do you mean, help?
I'll take Matt tomorrow so you can rest. Mary sounded relieved, and soon after I started taking care of Matt regularly.
Aunt Gemma, let's play.
Matt quickly warmed up to me, and we became close. Mary initially hesitated, but soon started to rely on me more.
Thank you, Gemma. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's fine. I enjoy spending time with Matt. Mary smiled, and I was happy to see her smile again. I continued to care for Matt so Mary could have some respite, but gradually Mary started coming back later and later. Eventually every weekend, Matt would be with me. I began to suspect something. Mary, what are you doing that makes you so late?
Just relaxing as you suggested.
Her response felt evasive, and I worried about her leaving her child without proper supervision.
Can't you just trust me?
I do, but you come back so late and I'm concerned.
Gemma, I have my own life to live.
Mary's response felt cold, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. She continued to dismiss my concerns, insisting she was only taking a break. I grew more uneasy, but I held back, trying not to make things worse. Over time, I realized Mary's behavior wasn't going to change. Fine, but if something happens, let me know. Mary thanked me, but her attitude left me with a sense of foreboding. Eventually, I learned that Mary was dating various men while leaving Matt with me. She even started leaving him at my door without notifying me. I felt betrayed, and seeing her so unbothered left me speechless. Do you know where your mom goes to?
No, Mom doesn't like to talk about it.
I couldn't believe she'd leave Matt without telling him anything. One day, she left without any word, abandoning Matt at my house. And that was the last time I saw her until today. Mary had disappeared, leaving Matt behind. My husband Todd had gone with her, and I was left with Matt. I was overwhelmed with disbelief and anger, but Matt was looking up at me with fear in his eyes. Kneeling down, I held his gaze and made a decision. Matt, your mom might not be coming back for a while.
Why not?
His eyes were filled with worry, and I didn't know how to respond. Matt was still too young to understand everything, but I couldn't hide the truth forever. Your mom had to go far away, but you have me. I'll be here with you always.
Okay, I understand.
Matt looked uncertain, but he nodded and gave a small smile. From that day on, it was just me and Matt. He had always been frail, often getting tired from even light activity. Mary had told me Matt was receiving treatment, but it didn't seem that way. Watching his fragile health, I worried about what kind of care he'd had before. All I knew for certain was that Matt's health was poor, and he needed more support than he'd been getting. I took Matt to the hospital for a full checkup and finally learned the truth about his condition. Reflecting on it, I realized Mary had only been feeding him things like jelly and bananas. I once asked if that was enough, and she simply said,
"It's all he eats, so don't give him anything else."
The doctors explained that Matt's diet was severely lacking in nutrition. From then on, I started learning about proper nutrition and made sure Matt had balanced meals. Every morning I prepared a nourishing soup packed with vegetables to help him get the nutrients he needed. At first, it was hard for him to eat much, but gradually he got better at finishing his meals. Good job, Matt. You're eating more than before.
Thank you, I'm trying my best.
His confidence grew as he got stronger, and little by little, his spirit returned. I started taking him out for light exercise too, consulting the doctors along the way. I just wanted him to have a chance at a long, healthy life. Matt's smile became brighter, and he even started enjoying himself. Each night, I'd tuck him in and listen to him excitedly recount his day. Today, I played catch and threw the ball farther than before. Oh, that's amazing, Matt. You're getting stronger every day. It's all thanks to you, Aunt Gemma. Hearing his gratitude filled my heart with warmth. And though I never showed it, I often held back tears. Day by day, Matt got healthier, and seeing his progress was my greatest joy. I wanted to do everything I could for him to keep him safe and happy for as long as possible. 15 years went by in what felt like a blink. I'd aged, but life with Matt had kept me going. I never remarried after Todd left with Mary, and my life had changed drastically. I sometimes wondered how Mary and Todd were doing, but I didn't really want to see them. I was simply curious about what kind of people they'd become. And then, a few days later, that curiosity was satisfied.
Hey, are you Gemma?
While out shopping one day, I heard a voice and turned around. Standing there was a familiar face, an older but unmistakable Mary. Mary.
It really is you, Gemma. Long time no see.
Mary greeted me with a cheerful smile as if nothing had ever happened. I felt a chill run down my spine, remembering everything from that day 15 years ago. Just then, a man walked up to Mary, none other than Todd.
Hey, what's going on? Wait, is that Gemma? Wow, Gemma, you've aged quite a bit, haven't you?
I clenched my teeth, wondering how he could smile so casually. Todd had left me, and Mary had abandoned Matt. Matt and I had an unspoken agreement never to talk about it, but he must have understood what had happened. And yet, here were Mary and Todd acting as if nothing was wrong. After 50 years of hiding, they had the nerve to approach me as if nothing had changed. What do you think you're doing? I let my anger show, but Mary only laughed it off.
Oh, come on, Gemma. Aren't you glad you got to spend time with Matt?
I was speechless at her audacity, unable to hide my disgust.
Oh, don't be so mad. Let bygones be bygones.
I forced myself to keep my composure, knowing these two had no remorse for what they'd done.
And that brat of yours? How's he doing?
Her words left me speechless, while Todd laughed beside her.
Don't listen to her. Matt's not some dying kid.
I looked at them, wondering if they could even be considered human.
What, you're still single, Gemma? Did you miss your chance?
Well, Mary and I are still madly in love.
I didn't want to entertain their questions, knowing it would only make them happier to see me frustrated.
Are you still bitter about being left? You can't even ask for alimony or child support, you know.
At that moment, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction that I hadn't let them get a reaction from me. I decided it was time to end the conversation and leave.
Well, Mary's kid may have been a failed experiment, but our daughter is perfectly healthy.
Daughter. That word struck me, and I turned to him with a question. How old is your daughter now?
She just turned 14. She's the cutest thing ever.
Todd was clearly doting, but Mary's expression turned tense. I decided to press a bit further, sensing there was more to the story. So you got pregnant after you left, huh? Mary's expression hardened even more. She'd been gloating just moments ago, but now she looked nervous. I had a hunch and decided to test it. Is she really Todd's child? Mary visibly flinched and Todd looked stunned before quickly responding.
Of course she is. She was born a year after we started living together.
I maintained my distance as Todd edged closer, trying to assert his claim. Well, that's questionable. Mary, you were meeting all kinds of people while you left Matt with me. Todd looked shocked as I continued, the truth dawning on him. When I had a detective investigate them after they ran off, I'd learned Mary had been seeing other men on the side. The weekends and sometimes even weekdays, she would leave Matt with me to go out. Todd, who had thought he was her only one, couldn't hide his disbelief. When I discovered what Mary had been doing, I couldn't believe it myself. She'd been going out with other men during the weekdays too, getting them to pay for everything. And while I was watching Matt, Mary was out enjoying herself.
No way.
He looked at Mary in shock, unable to process what he was hearing.
But we spent the weekends together. How could she have time to meet other men?
Well, during the weekdays while you were working, she was having a great time with others. Todd's face went pale as he realized the truth. He looked at Mary, hurt and confused.
You told me you were exhausted from working for Matt's sake.
Mary stayed silent, looking down.
Then why did you marry me? Was I just convenient?
Mary didn't respond, and it seemed like she was hoping the conversation would just end. Todd was the most financially stable out of all the men, wasn't he? Mary's eyes widened, and she raised her voice in panic.
Stop it!
Todd looked at her with a mix of anger and disbelief.
Is that true? Was I just your ATM?
Mary was silent, her face red with embarrassment. I continued, calmly revealing what I had found out from the detective. I have recordings of conversations with your friends where you called Todd your ATM. Mary froze, realizing how deep her secrets had been exposed. Todd looked even more devastated, unable to hide the hurt on his face.
So, our daughter might not even be my child?
No, that's ridiculous. She's yours.
She grabbed his arm, desperately trying to convince him. But Todd's trust in her was clearly shattered. Well, I don't have any proof about that, but you can easily find out with a DNA test. Mary's face turned pale as I suggested it, her confidence shaken.
No, there's no need for that. She's Todd's daughter.
I didn't care about Mary's insistence. I was only here to stand up for Matt, after they'd treated him so cruelly. Whatever you two decide to do is your business, but remember, I've raised Matt with love and care, and that will never change. Mary and Todd looked defeated as I started to turn away. Just then, I heard Matt's voice behind me.
Mom, are you ready to go?
Oh, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, Matt.
It's okay, let's go.
Mary and Todd stared at Matt, unable to recognize the confident young man before them.
Wait, is that Matt?
Mary pointed, her hand shaking in shock. Matt was dressed sharply in a suit, looking healthy and strong, nothing like the weak child she had abandoned. Yes, this is Matt. He's now 20 and thriving.
I remember everything, even though I was young. I know who you two are, my biological mother and her lover.
Todd looked horrified as he took in Matt's calm but firm expression.
But weren't you supposed to be really sick? I thought you only had 6 months.
No, Matt was never sick. That 6-month story was something Mary invented. After Mary left, I had taken Matt to the hospital. The doctors diagnosed him as malnourished due to poor diet, not with any life-threatening illness. There was no illness. He just needed proper food and care. Mary turned bright red with embarrassment as I continued.
I tried, but he was such a picky eater.
Todd's face showed disgust, realizing how she had neglected Matt's health. Matt eats well now. He's healthy, strong, and even played sports in high school.
I'm studying to become a doctor, so other kids don't have to go through what I did.
Todd and Mary both gasped at Matt's statement.
I had no idea you'd come so far.
and there's no need for Mary to insult him anymore, calling him names. Mary looked away, ashamed. If Mary had raised Matt, he'd never have achieved this future. She opened her mouth to say something, but Todd interrupted.
I want a divorce.
What? Why? No, you can't be serious.
Mary clung to his arm, her voice frantic, but Todd's expression remained firm.
After learning how you neglected Matt and lied to me, I can't stay with you.
Mary's breathing grew ragged as she tried to make excuses.
It's all a misunderstanding. Gemma twisted the truth.
But you treated me like an ATM, and now I see the truth.
Mary tried to deny it, but Todd's distrust was already deeply rooted.
I'm done.
He turned to me, his face filled with regret.
Gemma, I can never make up for what I've done, but I'm truly sorry.
He bowed, apologizing, but I felt nothing as I watched him. I'd once felt immense anger and betrayal, but time with Matt had erased those things. I've moved on, Todd. Matt and I have our own lives now. With that, I turned away from them and walked back to Matt. Let's go, Matt.
Yeah, let's go.
As we turned to leave, Mary's voice called out one last time.
Matt, I'm so sorry. I've regretted leaving you all this time.
She approached, tears in her eyes, but Matt held his hand up to stop her.
Don't. I remember all the times you pushed me out of the house when strange men came over.
Mary's face turned pale as he continued, his voice unwavering.
And I remember the day you abandoned me. I decided then that I'd never forgive you.
You're calling her Mom?
Yes, Gemma raised me. She's my real mother.
Mary was silent, realizing there was no chance of reconciliation.
Don't ever try to see us again.
Mary collapsed in tears as Matt and I walked away. Later, I heard that Todd had a DNA test done and confirmed that the daughter wasn't his. He sued Mary for damages, filed for divorce, and left her for good. Mary tried to retaliate, spreading rumors about him, but it only backfired, leading her to lose everything. I eventually blocked Mary's messages. Matt, meanwhile, grew up wonderfully. He got engaged to his girlfriend, and I was so proud of him. We continued living together, cherishing our time as mother and son. On his 20th birthday, I took him out to a nice restaurant. Let's make a toast to adulthood.
Cheers.
Clinking our glasses, I felt truly happy knowing I'd made the right choices for Matt. This moment, right here, was everything I had ever wanted.
After years of a separate life, my emergency surgery shocked the doctor. Days later, my husband was left pale and shaken.
What? What is this? The doctor's voice trembled, and he stood frozen, despite being in the middle of a consultation. I lay on the bed, suddenly tense, realizing the seriousness of his tone. I imagined my husband, who'd appeared pale and shaken recently, and closed my eyes slowly. My name is Claire. Looking back, I feel as though I've spent my whole life seeking love. Abandoned by my parents as a child and raised in foster care, I grew up not knowing what real love felt like. I remember feeling pure envy watching other kids receive the warmth and affection from their families. I've always longed to be cherished, to feel someone's kindness and care. The first time I truly felt loved was at a party hosted by my friend Sarah. That's where I met Jack. Hello, Claire. I'm Jack. His soft smile caught my attention, and he approached me with an easy grace. Oh, hi. I'm Claire. Not sure what to say, I responded awkwardly. Normally, I would be too nervous to speak, but there was something calming about Jack that put me at ease. Is this your first time here? Sarah told me a bit about you. She says you worked really hard. She said that? I don't think I'm anything special. I rarely talked about my past in foster care. It was a subject that made others uncomfortable, even pitying. Knowing this, I wondered just how much Sarah had told him. But Jack didn't bring it up. He just looked at me with a gentle smile. No, you're not ordinary. You've probably overcome a lot, right? I really respect that strength. Jack's words seeped into my heart, like I was finally hearing something I'd longed to hear. His kindness made me feel, maybe for the first time, truly cared for. Jack worked for a major company, was polished, intelligent, and considerate. We'd grown up in entirely different worlds, and I doubted I'd fit into his. But he never minded my background, and I found myself gradually drawn to him. Eventually, we started dating. In the beginning, Jack was exactly the ideal gentleman I had always imagined. He always seemed to know my preferences, like what I like to order. He'd even share interesting facts about dishes or their history. "Claire, this dish is actually good for you. They used to use these ingredients in old medicine." In every detail, his thoughtfulness shone, and I felt uniquely cherished. He was incredibly knowledgeable, but he never forced it, just shared it naturally. And it felt like he appreciated me too. "When I'm with you, Claire, I feel completely at peace. Will you marry me?" When Jack proposed, I was overwhelmed with joy. I never imagined someone would care about me so much. "Are you sure? I mean, you really want me?" He looked at me, his calm smile unchanged. "Of course, Claire. I need you." And so, we got married. Jack quickly moved up in his company, respected by everyone around him. My friends congratulated us, and I truly believed a happy future awaited us together. But slowly, things began to change. "Jack, are you working late again tonight?" He'd been coming home late more and more, and we barely talked anymore. "Can you just not get on my case? Work is demanding. Just let me do my job." His irritated tone felt like a slap. He had always been calm with me, but now a coldness had taken over. I tried to understand. "I know. I'm sorry. Just stop. I'm paying for everything here, so don't complain." His words stung, and my heart felt like it was tightening. I never thought he'd say something so hurtful. Where had the kind, gentle Jack I'd fallen in love with gone? And from then on, he only became more distant. "Can you at least handle the housework, right? I'm the one earning here. You don't have much else to do you?" His dismissive words cut deeper each time, and I felt myself shutting down emotionally. "Jack, how do you feel about me? Do you still love me?" I barely managed to ask, fearing the answer. "What kind of question is that? My work matters, not how you feel. Just drop it." His dismissive response shattered me. I had once been surrounded by his kindness, but now I felt empty. The happiness I thought I'd found was slipping through my fingers. Once I'd dreamed of having a family with him, of raising children in a warm, loving home. But as things got worse, that dream started to disappear. "Jack, don't you think we could try for a family?" He only looked at me coldly. "Kids? They're just a hassle. Our life is fine as it is." With that, any hope for our future faded. "Sarah, I don't know what to do anymore." One day, I confessed everything to my friend Sarah. She listened quietly, a sorrowful expression on her face. "Oh, Claire, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have introduced you to." "No, it's not your fault. I chose to marry him. Just promise me, okay? Put your own happiness first. You deserve to be happy." Her words made tears spill down my face. I could never have imagined how this marriage would turn out. In public, Jack was still the perfect husband. Around his coworkers and friends, he was always calm, always gentle. They'd say things like, "Jack is the ideal husband," and it made me feel conflicted every time. "There's a work party tonight, and my coworkers want you to come." "Oh, do you think it'll be okay if I go?" "Of course. Everyone will be thrilled to see you. You're the perfect wife after all." His words felt empty. He'd never really praised me before. But I had no choice but to play along. Even Jack's parents didn't know the truth. They lived overseas and rarely visited, so they had no idea what was happening in our marriage. "My parents want a video call this weekend. You don't have to say anything special." "Shouldn't we visit them sometime? Even our wedding was just a video call." "Are you kidding? They don't have time for that. Just let it go." With that, I knew it was pointless to push further. His parents were indifferent, and Jack wore his public mask perfectly. "I'll be late again. Another work party." "You've been going out a lot lately. Are you doing okay? Maybe you should take a break." "Just stop. You don't understand what my job's like." His irritation was clearer, sharper now. At first, I told myself it was just work stress. But then one day, he went too far. "You, an orphan, think you could ever understand my stress?" I was speechless. I never expected him to throw my past in my face like that. Growing up in a foster home was my own painful memory, one I barely spoke about. Jack, why would you say something like that? Enough. Don't argue with me. He became more cruel, even physically aggressive. It started small, just a shove here and there, but it got worse. Jack, please don't.
Shut up and do what I say.
Eventually, we stopped sharing a room. Our lives became completely separate, and I grew lonelier by the day. One evening, he saw me about to leave for the grocery store.
Where do you think you're going? You have no reason to be out.
I just need to pick up some things.
Don't go anywhere without telling me. You never know what you might get into.
He even began to control when I could leave the house. I hid my bruises under long sleeves, even in the summer, so that friends like Sarah wouldn't find out. Is it hot? Why are you wearing long sleeves? Oh, just to avoid getting sunburned. I lied, afraid of what Jack might do if I said anything. Jack, I think I need to see a doctor.
For what? Just stay home. You don't need a doctor for anything.
But I'm not feeling well. Maybe I should just get checked.
I told you, don't do anything unless I say so.
He wouldn't even let me go to the doctor. As my health deteriorated, I lay in bed, isolated and afraid. Each day passed with no escape in sight, no way out of this life. I felt trapped, like I could never survive on my own. And on one particularly stormy day, he became angrier than ever.
You don't understand anything, do you? Can't you do anything right?
I'm sorry, Jack. I really am.
Get out of the car, now.
He abruptly stopped the car and ordered me out. Wait, here? But it's raining.
I don't care. Just get out.
Before I could respond, he'd sped away, leaving me alone in the rain. I was soaked, abandoned in the middle of nowhere. Why, Jack? Why? I walked aimlessly, my shoes heavy with mud, feeling lost and broken. And suddenly, my world turned white as a pair of headlights bore down on me. I couldn't react in time. Everything went dark. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed, pain throbbing throughout my body.
We need to prepare for emergency surgery.
The doctor's words echoed in my mind as I drifted in and out of consciousness. Surgery? Why? What happened to me?
Your injuries are severe. We need to act quickly.
I barely nodded, my voice too weak to respond. The doctor began to examine me, but then froze mid-motion.
What is this? These bruises, these scars. What happened to you?
I felt frozen, exposed under the doctor's cornered gaze. Every mark Jack had left on me was visible now. There was no way to hide the truth any longer. I could feel a wave of shame and helplessness wash over me.
Who did this to you?
His voice trembled, and I realized that everyone in the room could see what I had been hiding for so long. I couldn't escape. The words slipped out before I could stop them. For the first time, I was telling someone about the truth I had hidden for so long.
We have to report this to the police.
Please, no, don't call them. I shook my head frantically, the fear of Jack finding out paralyzing me. I knew what he was capable of, and the thought of his anger terrified me.
But in your condition.
He struggled to find the right words, but ultimately respected my wish.
For now, let's focus on getting you through the surgery. You're safe here.
I felt a small flicker of relief, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. As they prepared me for surgery, memories of Jack pushing me out of the car replayed in my mind. Would I ever be able to escape him? Could I build a life without fear? I couldn't answer those questions yet. But in the fleeting moments before surgery, I felt something new, a glimmer of hope. And when I woke up after the operation, I was alone. Hours later, I heard footsteps outside my room. The door opened, and there he was, Jack. His face was pale, and I couldn't tell if he was worried or just angry that I'd been taken to the hospital.
What's this? What did you tell the doctors?
I didn't say anything.
Don't lie to me. You're making me out to be the villain here, aren't you?
His voice boomed through the room, startling the nurses outside. He grabbed my shoulder roughly, his face twisting with rage.
You did this on purpose, didn't you? You set this up to make me look bad.
No, I would never.
You have no idea how stressed I am, how hard I work. I'm the real victim here."
Jack was too furious to see reason, only focused on making himself the victim. He was incapable of empathy, of acknowledging the pain he had caused. Then the doctor walked in.
"What are you doing? She's just come out of surgery. She needs rest."
"She's lying. She's setting me up."
"Sir, her injuries tell a different story. They've been accumulating for a long time. There's no proof I did any of it."
"Jack, please just stop." My quiet plea made him pause, but only for a moment.
"I'm warning you. If you don't leave, we'll have to report this to the authorities."
Jack's face turned red with anger, but he seemed to realize he had no other choice. He looked around, as if waiting for someone to back him up, but there was no one.
"You think you can just throw me out? You don't know who you're dealing with."
The nurses watched him silently, their expressions full of judgment and disbelief.
"We care about the safety of our patients, and we won't let anyone jeopardize that."
Jack stood frozen for a moment. Then he turned and stormed out. I watched him leave, and for the first time, he looked small, vulnerable. "Just go, Jack, please." His eyes widened, stunned by my words. In all our years together, I had never spoken to him this way. For once, I didn't care about his reaction or how he'd feel. Something inside me shifted, like I was reclaiming my own strength. Jack didn't say another word. He left the room, and I took a deep, shaky breath. Tears filled my eyes, but this time, they weren't just from fear. They were from relief.
"You did well. It's time to start your recovery, step by step."
"Thank you. Really, thank you." His words brought a sense of peace, a tiny light in the darkness. But I knew this journey wasn't over. Jack was still out there, and I needed to find a way to protect myself. A few days later, the hospital staff filed a report, and Jack was arrested. When I heard the news, I felt like a weight was finally lifting off my shoulders. The fear that had shackled me for so long began to dissolve. Jack tried to protest his innocence, but no one was listening anymore.
"She's lying. She set this whole thing up. She's framing me."
His desperate pleas fell on deaf ears. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the court saw through his lies. And for the first time, Jack was held accountable for his actions. In court, I stood with the hospital staff and my friend Sarah as a witness. The judge saw through his excuses, dismissing them as just more manipulation.
"You're responsible for your actions, Jack. It's time to face the consequences."
I saw Jack's face pale, as he realized he couldn't escape the truth. The court granted my divorce, and I was finally free. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders as the judge declared our divorce finalized. Jack was now facing public shame and the consequences of his own actions. News of the court case spread quickly, and Jack's image was shattered. His co-workers, friends, and even his family started to see him for who he really was. Jack had lived a double life, but now everyone knew the truth. He was quickly fired from his job, and any credibility he had was gone.
"Please, you're all I have left. I promise I'll change."
"Jack, it's over. I don't owe you anything anymore." His pleas became weaker as he realized I was truly done. Jack's career and reputation crumbled, and he struggled to find anyone willing to hire him. Former friends and coworkers avoided him, and he was completely isolated. He was finally feeling the loneliness he'd forced on me for years. The same words he once used to belittle me echoed in my mind. "Your suffering means nothing to me." Now, the tables had turned, and Jack had to face life alone. In the months that followed, I slowly started to rebuild my life. I began to find a new purpose and a new path forward. The kindness of the doctors and nurses inspired me, and I realized I wanted to help others. I decided to pursue a career in nursing. I wanted to be a source of strength for people who felt helpless as I once did.
"Congratulations on your recovery, Claire. If you ever need support, we're here for you."
"Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for helping me find hope again."
"The strength to move forward was always with you. We just gave a little guidance."
His words resonated deeply, and I felt my resolve grow. I enrolled in nursing school, ready to start fresh. Being around young, hopeful students was a new experience, but they accepted me without judgment. For the first time, I felt like I was living the life I was meant to have. I studied hard, motivated by the idea of one day helping people the way others had helped me. It wasn't easy, but each lesson felt like a new chance to learn, to grow. And little by little, my past became something I could live with instead of something that weighed me down. As I spent time with my classmates, I felt a sense of joy I hadn't experienced in years. We studied together, shared laughs, and supported each other. Those small moments reminded me of the life I'd always dreamed of. My friend Sarah cheered me on, encouraging me every step of the way. I always knew you'd find something that makes you happy. You're going to be amazing at this. Thank you, Sarah. I couldn't have done any of this without you. With each passing day, my confidence grew, and I knew I was on the right path. Nursing school gave me a sense of purpose and taught me to trust myself again. My journey had been painful, but I was finally reclaiming my life. And while the scars of my past would never fully disappear, I had found a way to move forward. I was no longer a prisoner of my own fear. I was free. As the years passed, my career as a nurse flourished, and I became deeply connected to my work. Every patient I met reminded me why I had chosen this path, and their gratitude reinforced my purpose. My past was a reminder of the resilience I'd found within myself. Though some days were hard, knowing I could help people gave my life a new meaning. The kindness I received in my darkest days became the kindness I gave to others. My experience allowed me to understand and comfort people in ways I hadn't imagined. I learned that surviving hardship makes us more compassionate, more willing to give others hope. And I finally believed that love, real love, was not something that harmed or controlled. Love was about support, empathy, and genuine care. One day, I was leaving work. Sarah came to visit, bringing a bouquet of flowers. "Look at you, living your dream. You're truly an inspiration, Claire. Thanks to friends like you, who stood by me when I couldn't stand by myself." We hugged, and I realized how far I'd come, from isolation and fear to a life filled with purpose and friendship. I no longer felt like I was defined by my past or by Jack's actions. Instead, I had become someone strong, capable, and compassionate. My life had transformed into something I never thought possible, and it was all because I chose to take that first step. I no longer felt fear when I thought of Jack or the years I'd lost. Now, those years served as a powerful reminder of the strength I had gained and the freedom I had won. My journey had taught me that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes if we hold on. And as I walked out of the hospital that evening, watching the sunset, I felt peace. My life was finally my own.
Stepchild blows my card on friends, canceled it last month, and removed them from the family.
I handed my stepdaughter a credit card when she asked. "Can I borrow it? I need to buy something." I didn't have cash on me at the moment, so reluctantly I gave her one of my credit cards. Though she's technically my stepdaughter, we aren't related by blood. She's my husband's daughter from a previous marriage. I told her, "Go ahead and buy what you need. This card is for family use, so please don't lose it." "Okay." Despite her occasional attitude, I assumed she understood it was a family card and wouldn't go wild with it. But when she returned home that night smelling faintly of alcohol, I had a bad feeling. "Welcome home. You're back late. What did you buy?" I asked, hoping for an easy answer. She smirked and replied, "Tonight was a reunion party. Oh, and look at this outfit I'm wearing. It's nice, right? I bought it today and wore it right away. Everyone said I looked amazing." She was wearing something that looked expensive. Suddenly, I felt a wave of worry. Did she really spend a ton of money tonight? She leaned in, still smirking, and asked, "Take a guess. How much do you think I spent?" I stammered. "How many thousands did you spend?" I organized the reunion party. I booked that luxury hotel near Central Park. 35 people attended because everyone wanted to see me. And since I was in such a good mood, I covered everyone's meal. Some even came in from out of town, so I booked hotel rooms for them. Aren't I just the best? I felt a chill. 35 people. That could mean she spent over $1,000 each. "How much did you actually spend?" I asked, trying to stay calm. She laughed and said, $3,480. I froze. I had assumed it was only a few thousand, but it was a platinum card with a limit of $50,000. This stepdaughter of mine, who hadn't even earned her own income yet, has spent almost as much as a young professional's annual salary in one night. I asked, "Do you realize how much hard work goes into earning that kind of money?" "Why does it matter? Family money has always been my money," she said nonchalantly. "And today, everyone thanked me so much." "They were only thanking your money, not you," I replied, barely holding back my frustration. "Well, that's hurtful," she snapped. "And anyway, Alice, you're clearly the wealthiest one in the family now. I guess I can count on you in the future," she laughed and headed toward her room. I knew then that something had to change. If I didn't act fast, her future would spiral into chaos. I immediately called the credit card concierge to explain the situation. I was going to put an end to this once and for all. Over the next month, my stepdaughter Emily was unusually quiet. Apparently, a few of the reunion guests had called her out for showing off and even cut ties with her. "Who does she think she is, throwing money around like that?" one of them had reportedly said. Emily was furious but said nothing to me. I thought, at least some of her friends have enough sense to see through her behavior. One day, she came back to me with a smug grin on her face. "Hey Alice, can I borrow the card again? My friends and I are planning a spa trip this time." She waved her hand dismissively, as if it was no big deal. "Oh, that card? I canceled it a month ago. And by the way, I've removed you from my legal custody." "What? What do you mean?" Emily stared, completely stunned. "I canceled the card. After you blew $3,480 in one night, I knew I had to take control." "Wait, what?" she yelled. "How am I supposed to pay for the hotel expenses?" "I'll handle the bill myself, but you'll need to pay me back in full. All $3,480 of it." "That's not fair," she shouted. "It was a family card. I can spend on it if I want." "You seem to think there's no limit to what you can spend. But $3,480 is hardly normal spending. My money isn't your money, and you'll learn that soon enough." "How do you even know it was me? You don't have proof." "Oh, believe me, I do. Luxury hotels have a way of remembering when a young woman walks in with a group and throws money around. Plus, I've already arranged to pay the hotel bill directly, and you'll be paying it back to me in full. The lifestyle you've been enjoying is over, Emily. I want you to get a job and pay back every penny." "What? I don't need to work. I'll just ask Dad." "About that, your father and I have filed for divorce, and I've also annulled the legal guardianship, so we're no longer legally connected." "Wait, what? Why didn't anyone tell me? Where is Dad anyway?" "He's currently hiding out from creditors," I said. "It turns out he's been in debt for years, using other people's money to keep up his business image. He's moving between friends' places to avoid debt collectors." Emily's face went pale. "We're not a rich family, Emily. I was lied to you just as much as you were. You're grown up thinking of yourself as some heiress, but that was just a fantasy. It's time to grow up. You'll be paying me back starting now." "This is so unfair," she cried. "Moms don't usually make their daughters repay them." "I'm no longer your legal mother, Emily. I filed the paperwork with the divorce, so we're not even legally family." "Oh, wait, so we're really not family anymore?" "Exactly. But you can still pay me back, as any adult would for money they borrowed. And I hope you take this as a chance to learn some responsibility." "This isn't fair. I want it to be like those Instagram celebrities." "Then maybe it's time to start working toward that on your own. You could still try out for modeling or take auditions if that's what you truly want. You'll just have to do it without relying on anyone else's money." After the divorce, I left the house, cutting off all ties with her father and our old life. I found a small apartment where I could start fresh. Now, I'm planning to open my own cat cafe or animal-friendly bar, my original dream before all of this. And as for Emily, last I heard, she was starting her first ever job. struggling to keep up and slowly learning the value of $1. Emily took her first job at a convenience store, and the reality hit her hard. She came home exhausted, complaining about the long hours and the difficult customers. But even though she was frustrated, I noticed a change in her, a hint of resilience I hadn't seen before. She was finally starting to grasp what it meant to work for something. Soon after, she tried applying at a more upscale boutique, but was turned down after the interview. She bounced between different jobs for months, from a cafe to a fast food restaurant, each one teaching her new lessons about patience. The luxuries she'd once taken for granted were now beyond her reach. Yet with each paycheck, she handed over a small amount to me, slowly chipping away at her debt. I knew I'd likely never see the full amount, but I wanted her to feel the weight of responsibility. And over time, she seemed to understand that $1 earned meant so much more than $1 taken. As for me, I began making my dream a reality. I secured a small loan, found the perfect location for my cat cafe, and started the renovations. With every step, I felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment I hadn't felt in years. Now, when Emily visits, there's a hint of humility in her tone, a genuine smile and a quieter, softer approach. She even mentioned her hopes to work towards something more stable, possibly enrolling in college part-time. It took a long time and a lot of heartache, but I believe she's finally finding her way. And for the first time, I'm proud, not just of her, but of myself. The path was painful, but in the end, we both learned to build lives on our own terms. And we finally understood what it meant to stand on our own 2 feet. My cat cafe became a small haven in the community, a cozy place where people could unwind and connect with the cats we rescued. It felt rewarding to create a space that gave others comfort and helped animals in need. Emily sometimes stopped by on weekends, helping out around the cafe, feeding the cats, or chatting with customers. She even made a few friends among the regulars, and I could see her self-confidence growing. We still had our differences, and the scars of the past hadn't disappeared. But there was a new respect between us, born from hard lessons and earned understanding. Our relationship wasn't traditional, and it wasn't always easy, but it was ours. And maybe that was enough. Over time, Emily moved out, found a small apartment, and continued to support herself. She pursued a part-time college degree in business, something that surprised but pleased me. She once told me, with a slight grin, that she wanted to be her own boss one day, just like me. I knew she had a long way to go, but for the first time, I believed she could truly make it on her own. Watching her grow, I felt a sense of closure. It hadn't been an easy journey for either of us, but we have both found our paths. And I realized that sometimes family isn't about shared blood, but shared lessons, growth, and respect. Emily had become her own person, and so had I. And as I looked around my cafe, filled with laughter, companionship, and the purrs of contented cats, I felt at peace. We had come a long way, and for the first time in years, I felt truly at home in my life. As the cafe grew more popular, I realized that building something meaningful felt more rewarding than any financial gain. People connected here over simple joys, and I felt like I'd finally created a place that reflected who I truly was. Every now and then, Emily would bring friends by, introducing them to me with pride, and I could see her confidence blossoming. She often chatted about her plans, sometimes big dreams about businesses of her own. I've been thinking about creating something similar one day, but with a twist. Maybe a cafe that supports local artists too. I'd nod, giving advice here and there, but more than anything, I just listened, supporting her in ways I once didn't know how to. as her ambition grew, she took on more part-time work, juggling studies and small projects to gain experience. For the first time, I saw her taking full ownership of her life, her finances, and her future. There were no more requests for my credit card or extravagant shopping sprees. She was determined to make it on her own, and I couldn't have been prouder. In these quiet moments at the cafe, surrounded by the soft hum of conversations and the gentle purring of cats, I felt a calm I hadn't before. Our relationship had shifted from conflict to companionship, and our lives had transformed in ways I hadn't expected. I realized that the cafe wasn't just a business, but a symbol of growth for me, for Emily, and for our unique version of family. Perhaps life doesn't always follow the paths we imagine, but sometimes the ones we create along the way end up being just as fulfilling. And as I watched Emily laugh with her friends, her spirit full of hope and ambition, I knew that everything we'd endured had been worth it. For the first time in a long time, I felt complete. And no matter what the future held, I knew we both had what it took to make it through. A year passed, and the cafe had become a hub of warmth and connection in the neighborhood. Emily's confidence grew even more as she stepped out into her own career path, finding her way with grace and resilience. We still shared coffee on quiet mornings, discussing dreams and the steps needed to get there. It was a simple ritual, but it symbolized so much more, a connection that I had grown stronger through all we'd been through. One day, she surprised me with a small gift, wrapped neatly with a ribbon. "I wanted you to have this as a thank you for everything." I opened it to find a small plaque engraved with the words strength and heart. In that moment, I felt a swell of pride and love, knowing we had both come so far. Life wasn't perfect, but we'd built something beautiful together, rooted in trust and mutual respect. I hugged her tightly, feeling gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. And as I returned to the cafe, placing the plaque on a shelf where the morning light would catch it, I knew we were both ready for whatever came next. Together, we had learned that life's toughest challenges often lead to the most meaningful connections and the deepest personal growth. And for the first time, our lives felt like they were truly our own, a testament to resilience, love, and the strength to carve out our own paths forward. And that, I knew, was the real meaning of family.
Husband cheats, dumps me, and gets stuck with 24/7 caregiving.
This is the divorce paper, and everything else is for the new wife to handle. He handed me the papers with an insensitive smile. At that moment, a chill ran through my chest. I calmly accepted his words, smiling back at him. "All right, you got the next 24 hours. Midnight bathroom runs and meal prep. All of it. As long as your new wife can handle it, I feel relieved." For a moment, Liam's expression darkened. He had no idea what he was getting into, how hard it was going to be. "My name is Mia. Liam and I have been married for 25 years. Our 2 children were now grown, independent, and living their own lives. After they left home, Liam and I resumed a life of just the 2 of us. At first, everything seemed fine. I continued working, took care of the house, and felt fulfilled. On weekends, we went out together or spent time with friends, enjoying life. I was satisfied with my marriage, or so I thought. But everything changed when Lisa, Liam's mother, suddenly collapsed. She had been aging, and I knew her strength was waning. Still, I never imagined how drastically our lives would change. One day, she collapsed in her living room. We rushed her to the hospital where she was diagnosed with a stroke that left one side of her body paralyzed. That marked the beginning of a completely different life for us. At first, she was determined and made an effort in rehab. I supported her wholeheartedly. She often apologized, saying, "I'm so sorry, Mia. I hate to trouble you like this." Watching her struggle made me more determined to help. After all, she had been there for me when our kids were young. "How was rehab today, Lisa?" Not great. My right hand just won't move. I'm so sorry I've become like this. And don't say that. You're working hard, and that's what matters. At first, she smiled and said she'd do her best. But over time, her mood darkened, and she became less motivated. Frustration with her condition and guilt about burdening us began to show. Should someone like me even still be alive? Don't say that. I'm happy to have you here with me, Lisa. I meant it. Watching her struggle was painful, but helping her was important to me. Reality, however, was harsher than I'd imagined. In addition to caregiving, I handled all the housework and meal prep. Nighttime was especially challenging, helping her use the bathroom or adjusting her sleeping position. It felt like I was constantly on alert. Exhaustion began to take its toll. Lisa, please don't hesitate to call me if you need anything. I'm sorry, Mia. I hate troubling you so much. Her words hurt me, but I was reaching my limit. I worked tirelessly from morning to night. The physical and emotional strain was overwhelming. Liam, meanwhile, started coming home later and later. Liam, you've been coming home late lately. I know work must be busy, but could you spare some time for Lisa? I know, but my project at work is really demanding right now. You're handling everything so well. It lets me focus on my job. His words infuriated me. Did he not see how exhausted I was? How hard I was juggling everything alone? I worked too. The loneliness of caregiving weighed on me daily. No one offered to help. If only I were stronger, Mia, I wouldn't have to burden you so much. Oh, please don't say that, Lisa. You've done so much for us. Let me give back to you. Even as I said those words, I felt my energy slipping away, but I couldn't let myself rely on anyone else. I felt it was my responsibility to care for her. But wasn't it Liam's responsibility too? Determined, I decided to ask him for help again. Liam, could you help out a little? I'm really tired. I've told you before, I'm busy with work right now. Things will settle down soon, I promise. But soon never came. I continued to manage everything alone. Because Liam came home late, I couldn't work overtime myself. My situation at work grew more strained as well. Even on weekends, Liam was rarely home. A silent gap grew between us, and our conversations became fewer and fewer. One evening, I prepared a meal for Liam as usual and waited for him to come home. When he arrived, he glanced at the food and dismissed it. I already ate. I'm going to bed. Wait, what? You usually let me know if you're not eating at home. I didn't feel like calling. You should have figured it out. His cold reply left me speechless. We never used to fight over such trivial things. I tried to tell myself he was just tired, but deep down, I felt myself breaking. Late at night, I found myself staring at Liam's sleeping face. When did we grow so distant? I couldn't find an answer. While our relationship crumbled, I continued to shoulder all the caregiving duties alone. Liam's indifference toward me grew more apparent with each passing day. Then one day, everything changed. I was scrolling through social media while lying on the couch, trying to relax. Suddenly, Liam's account appeared on my feed. I hesitated to click on it, but curiosity got the better of me. His posts seemed harmless, updates about work and daily life. But the comments caught my eye. A woman named Erica frequently commented, and Liam often responded. Their exchanges felt overly familiar. I had so much fun at lunch yesterday. When's our next outing? Let's try that new restaurant you mentioned. My stomach turned. It wasn't just lunch. The late nights, the dismissive attitude, everything clicked. Erica worked at Liam's office as a secretary. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. He's cheating. I whispered the words to myself, feeling their weight. I couldn't believe it, but I couldn't deny the evidence either. And all I had done, sacrificing my time and energy to care for his mother, he had betrayed me. I decided I couldn't live like this anymore. I needed answers. A few days later, Liam mentioned a work dinner. I knew this was my chance. I drove to his office that evening and waited in my car, my heart pounding. Eventually, I saw him walk out, with Erica by his side. They walked closely together, laughing as they strolled through the city streets. I followed them, keeping my distance until they entered a high-end restaurant. Through the window, I could see them chatting and smiling. Every time Erica laughed, Liam smiled back at her. My heart shattered. I couldn't watch anymore. I returned to my car, tears streaming down my face, and drove home. The next day, I confronted Liam. Liam, you've been coming home late a lot. Is something going on? I've told you, it's work. Why do you keep asking? I know about Erica. Liam froze for a moment, then quickly recovered. What about her? I saw you two having dinner together. His face betrayed his surprise before he spoke again. So what? It's none of your business. None of my business? We've been married for 25 years, Liam. How can you say that to me? My voice trembled, but I pressed on. We're married. We're supposed to be a team. Liam sighed and shrugged, his tone emotionless. I'm tired, Mia. I'm tired of this life with you. Let's just end it. I want to be with someone younger. His words froze me to the core. It wasn't just the affair. It was the realization that his heart had completely left me. Are you serious? You're tired? Liam just stared at me coldly, offering no response. I felt something inside me break. After everything I'd endured, the sleepless nights, the caregiving, the endless sacrifices, he still wanted to throw it all away. My voice rose as I finally let my emotions out. Do you have any idea what I've been through? Do you know how hard it's been taking care of your mom while working and managing the house? I've done everything for this family, and this is how you repay me? You're being dramatic. Everything will work itself out. Work itself out? Who do you think is going to take care of your mother? Erica? Liam sighed again, as if I were the one being unreasonable. Erica's young and strong. She'll handle it better than you. His dismissive tone pushed me over the edge. Fine, let's see how she handles 24-hour caregiving. Let's see her wake up multiple times at night, help with bathroom trips, prepare meals, bathe your mom, and keep her spirits up every single day. Do you even understand what it takes? Liam smirked, his arrogance shining through. She'll figure it out. You're just making it harder than it needs to be. That was the final straw. Calmly, I reached for the divorce papers he has so smugly handed me. Fine. Good luck to you both. Liam's confidence wavered for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. Great. Just make sure to sign the papers so we can get this over with. I signed the papers without hesitation, my heart strangely calm. For the first time in years, I felt clarity. I didn't need him anymore. I handed the papers back to Liam and looked him straight in the eye. Just remember, Liam, you and I are strangers now. He scoffed and walked away, muttering something about how Erica would make his life better. But reality had other plans for Liam. Erica wasn't interested in caregiving. When Liam asked her to help out with his mother, she immediately refused. No way. I didn't sign up for this. She's your responsibility, not mine. Liam was stunned. His perfect vision of a carefree life with Erica began to crumble. He begged her to reconsider, but Erica wanted no part of his burden. Honestly, Liam, I think we need to re-evaluate this whole thing. You've got too much baggage. Soon after, Erica ended their relationship and disappeared from his life. Alone and overwhelmed, Liam called me in desperation. Mia, I need your help. I can't do this alone. You'll figure it out, Liam. After all, you're the one who wanted this. I hung up, finally free from his chaos. I decided to take back control of my life and to protect the one person who truly mattered, Liam's mother. The next chapter of my life had begun, and I was ready to embrace it fully. After Liam's desperate call, I made arrangements to bring his mother into my home. I couldn't bear to see her suffer because of his irresponsibility. Don't worry, Lisa. I'll take care of you. When I arrived to pick her up, she looked frail but relieved. Mia, you don't know how much this means to me. Oh, you've done so much for me, Lisa. This is the least I can do. Tears welled in her eyes as she squeezed my hand. You're the daughter I always wished for. Her words filled me with warmth. Once she moved in, our life together became a peaceful routine. I hired a professional caregiver to assist during the day, allowing me to balance work and home life. Her recovery progressed steadily, and her spirits lifted. I walked all the way to the park today. That's amazing, Lisa. You're getting stronger every day. Her smile was brighter than I'd seen in years. Meanwhile, Liam's life continued to spiral downward. Without support, he struggled to manage his mother's care, his debts, and his own dwindling career. The house he had once shared with Erica and envisioned as a new beginning now felt like a prison. How did everything go so wrong? His once smug demeanor was replaced by bitterness and regret. One day, I received a letter from Liam. It was an apology, a genuine one. Mia, I realize how much I have hurt you. You gave everything to this family and I threw it away. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say I'm sorry. I read the letter without emotion. It was too late for apologies. Liam had made his choices, and I had moved on. My focus was now on creating a life filled with love, peace, and purpose. With Liam's mother by my side, I found joy in the little moments, morning walks, shared meals, and laughter over old stories. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, she turned to me with a serious expression. Mia, you've given me so much. I don't want to be a burden to you. Lisa, you're not a burden. You're family. Her eyes filled with gratitude, and for the first time in a long while, I felt at peace. Liam's betrayal no longer haunted me. I have found my strength, my purpose, and my happiness. The life I was building, free of toxicity and filled with genuine care, was the one I deserved all along. And as I looked at the woman who had become like a second mother to me, I knew that I had finally found my true family. Days turned into weeks, and the life I shared with Liam's mother became more fulfilling than I ever imagined. She was no longer just Liam's mother. She had become my family, my partner in resilience. Mia, guess what? What's that, Lisa? Today I managed to climb all the steps at the park without stopping. That's incredible. I'm so proud of you. Her accomplishments, no matter how small they might seem to others, brought immense joy to both of us. Together we created a safe, happy home filled with laughter and healing. Occasionally, I would hear whispers from mutual acquaintances about Liam. His life had fallen apart, his debts mounted, and Erica had long since disappeared from his world. The promises of a better life that he had envisioned were nothing but shattered illusions. But I had no interest in his struggles anymore. I had done my part, and I had moved on. One evening, as I prepared dinner, Liam's mother brought up a topic I didn't expect. Mia, I've been thinking about everything that's happened. About Liam, Erica, and even myself. Oh, you don't need to dwell on the past, Lisa. I know, but I want to thank you. You've shown me what family really means. Lisa, I couldn't have done any of this without you. You've been my strength just as much as I've been yours. Her words reminded me of how far we've come. While Liam's betrayal had once defined a dark chapter in my life, it no longer had power over me. I had turned that pain into strength, and together with Liam's mother, we had created a new beginning. A beginning built on trust, compassion, and the realization that family is not just about blood. It's about the people who stand by you. As the sun set that evening, casting a golden glow over our home, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The struggles of the past seemed like a distant memory replaced by the love and warmth of the present. And as we shared dinner, laughing and reminiscing about happier times, I knew that this was the life I was always meant to have. Free from toxicity, surrounded by genuine love, and moving forward with hope and purpose.